bomb has been recovered from the body of a security personnel who was killed by the Maoists during the gun battle in Latehar. Bomb squad has called in after doctors detected the bomb in security personnel's body in Jharkhand. In fact, the Naxals' tactics are now shocking the security apparatus. Home Ministry officials have called the Naxals' gruesome tactics, similar to the Pakistan Army's who brutally killed 2 Indian jawans. Our editor, Strategic Affairs, Gaurav Sawant, now joins us with more details. Gaurav, what more information can you give us about this incident that the doctors have discovered bomb in the body of a security personnel?
What the CRPF officers are telling us is one of the 3 bodies had been booby-trapped in the sense that when they were trying to retrieve the bodies, it was wired in such a way that those who were trying to retrieve the bodies were also injured by shrapnel, and that is when that some civilian assistance was also taken to retrieve the bodies. And as Ministry of Home Affairs officers point out, that this is standard tactics of the Pakistan Army and the ISI. So this just goes on to buttress the point that even perhaps Maoists are now being trained by the ISI. If you recall, Maha, during the 1999 Kargil war, there were officers and jawans of the Rajput regiment, 2nd Rajrif and 18 Grenadiers. Some of those who were fighting on the Tololin, when they were killed in battle, the Pakistan Army had booby-trapped their bodies, and those who were trying to retrieve those bodies, they were also injured. So that is the tactic that is now being employed. You not only kill and injure soldiers, to go and retrieve them, they also get injured while trying to retrieve the bodies, and this is extremely bad for the morale of the fighting force.
Shockingly brutal tactics being used by the Naxals, Gaurav, but in that situation, are our security personnel ready to take on the Naxals then?
Well, clearly this just goes on to indicate that the training and tactics being adopted and employed by the Naxals is far more professional that had so far been anticipated or feared. This just goes on to show that the security forces would need to step up their own training and tactics. And we have seen in more than one incident now, Maha, that the security forces, especially the Central Reserve Police, whenever they don't follow the standard operating procedure, whenever they don't follow the laid down norms, not only do we suffer setbacks, we also suffer major casualties in this form. We've seen this in Dantewada, we've seen this here in Latehar. So clearly the Naxals training and tactics are improving. The CRPF desperately needs to shape up and keep pace with them. In fact, be ahead. Sadly, that is not happening. And one reason for this, sadly, is that officers and jawans of the CRPF, they don't train together, they don't operate together, they are not deployed together, they are deployed in penny packets, and all of this desperately needs to change. We've seen the army combat terrorism in J&K. Similar tactics need to be adopted by the CRPF and other counter-Maoist forces in the depth areas.
Gaurav, what does it say about the training that is being received by the Naxals? Who could be helping them?
There are several theories that are doing the rounds. I've been speaking to officers in the Ministry of Home Affairs, and they say that it's not just now Naxals are not just being trained by the PLA, the Chinese army. Remnants, are also major elements are also being trained by Pakistan Army through elements in Bangladesh. What evidence do they have for this? We have yet to see that evidence in public domain. But training, tactics, weapons, a lot of it we see Chinese tactics being, training being adopted, weapons being adopted, and also Pakistan elements. But this is intelligence inputs that seem to be coming in. Unfortunately, the kind of focus that is required in this area by CRPF, by other South Maoist forces, that kind of focus is not there. The Maoists clearly a step ahead. For the CRPF, at least if not Dantewada, Latehar should be a wake-up call.
Gaurav, Latehar was the first target this year, really in such a big fashion. How are the other Maoist-infested states really bracing up for the year?
Sources in the Ministry of Home Affairs say that there needs to be a strategy which needs to be adopted by multiple states simultaneously. Andhra Pradesh has done considerable work and considerable successful work. Chhattisgarh, to an extent, had achieved success. But what is required at this point of time is a concerted effort by all the Maoist violence affected states to simultaneously launch operations with the help of, let's say, the UAVs, the unmanned aerial vehicles to scan the skies, helicopters for quick deployment. But for this, you need one head who will coordinate all the movements. So far, unfortunately, what is happening is Jharkhand would do something separately, Bihar would do something separately, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra would carry out operations separately, and because of this, the Maoists slip from one part to the other, to the third, to the fourth. And as Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh himself had said in 2005, that the Maoists are the big threat to internal security, but that kind of effort that is needed to counter them, we are not seeing. And every hit shows that their training, the training of the Maoists, is ahead of the security forces, and that needs to change, and it needs to change now.
Gaurav, stay on with us. Let's quickly recap what has happened in Jharkhand. For viewers who are just joining in, a bomb has been recovered from the body of a security personnel who was killed by Maoists during a gun battle in Latehar. Bomb squad was called in after doctors detected a bomb in a security personnel's body in Jharkhand. Naxal tactics are now shocking the security apparatus. Home Ministry officials have called Naxal's gruesome tactics similar to Pakistan armies who brutally killed 2 Indian Army jawans. Gaurav, you spoke about coordinated effort that is required by all Naxal-infested states. What is taking the government so long to get all these states together when this problem has been going on for years now?
Two things: lack of political will and a lack of coherent strategy. Who will be the anti-Naxal force? How will their actions be coordinated? Who will decide how this war is to be fought? Law and order is a state subject. Every state has a different strategy to counter this menace. That is why so far we haven't seen success. While we see some success in Andhra Pradesh, several Maoist leaders have slipped out of Andhra Pradesh, they go into Jharkhand. When you see operations in Jharkhand, they slip into Odisha, or they slip into Chhattisgarh, or Madhya Pradesh, or Maharashtra. What is required is a coherent strategy and a coherent policy where all the states need to operate together. While that is one aspect of it, which is the military aspect, there is the innermost core belt which needs to be dealt with, where you also require a lot of development. So development and military strategy need to go hand in hand. That, unfortunately, is not happening. The Prime Minister may have said it's the biggest threat to internal security,
right,
but what action has been taken? Unfortunately, action remains confined to files, and we see penny packet deployment. We see security forces who maybe, CRPF may be deployed in one area, they hardly venture out of that area, and whenever they venture out, because they're deployed in penny packets, they get taken in and they get ambushed.
Gaurav Sawant, many thanks for joining us with all those details. We have with us now Prakash Singh, former DG BSF. So what does this latest incident say about the kind of training that the Naxals are possibly now receiving?
Well, the Naxals have got training, but the important factor which makes a difference in the operations in these areas is the availability of intelligence to the Naxals as against almost intelligence back home for the security forces. You see, what happens is that the villagers willy-nilly, whether willingly or maybe out of fear, they are compelled to give intelligence to the Naxals, whereas the security forces have to depend on the state government and the intelligence bureau. Now, the intelligence bureau can't be present everywhere. That's a central agency. But unfortunately, the state intelligence is almost zero, and the state civil support is also minimal. You see, when the security forces, and by security forces I mean the CRPF or the BSF, when they go out on patrol, when you remember in the Chintalar incident, 75 CRPF jawans were accompanied by just one civil police constable. So, the local police contribution in terms of associating with the raid and in terms of giving intelligence to the paramilitary forces, that is dismal, that is pathetic, and that is what makes difference. And in this particular case, Actually, I mean, it's just that they had the logistical advantage. The Maoists were on a hilltop, and these
All
people
right.
were. But there's another aspect of this whole incident, which is probably not being highlighted by the media. Maybe I'm not aware. But you see, in case of one Jawan, they took out his intestines and planted a bomb and then stitched the body.
Exactly, sir. That is exactly what we are talking about at the moment, that the bomb was recovered by the doctors, and then the teams were called in, bomb squad was called in after the doctors detected it. That's exactly what we want to ask you, sir. This new tactic of them brutally trying to kill more people through this method, where do you see all this training of brutality really coming in from?
There is another aspect of Naxal's misdeeds or atrocity. See, in case of one Jawan, they gouged his eyes. You see, the eyes have been just taken out of the body. I don't know whether this has been brought to your notice, but this is what I am told very reliably. Maybe they have not given it out to the press. But so Naxals, I mean, the Maoists are becoming monsters. I mean, the way they are behaving. And the one, I mean, I have not conducted any inquiry into the incident, but I mean, the one plausible explanation that I can give you is that the Maoist movement has components from the Maoist Communist Center of India, which was basically in Bihar, and also from People's War Group. Now, this Maoist Communist Center of India people, they are criminals, unadulterated criminals. They are robbers, criminals, murderers, rapists. Call them what you like. And maybe it was one of those squads which originally formed part of the Maoist Communist Center of India, now renamed as Maoists. So maybe they are, but I mean, Maoists behaving like monsters is something really something to be bothered about. You have Maoist monsters within the country, and you have Pakistani army monsters from across the border. I mean, this is the kind of adversaries that the paramilitary forces have within the country, and the Indian Army has beyond the borders.
So in such a situation, what's the need of the hour? Better coordination.
Need for coordination and need for these great human rights groups also to come out and understand the ground realities. I mean, when there is any encounter, they are just on their toes, trying to find fault with the security forces, trying to blame the security forces and accuse them of atrocities which they may not have committed at all. And here is an atrocity which can be photographed, which can be seen visually, but the human rights groups would retain their eloquent silence on this matter.
Prakash Singh, many thanks for speaking with us, sir, on this latest development that's coming in from Latehar in Jharkhand.